This is a tutorial on how to make a simple DVD with no intro menus and just a plug-and-play interface, and a more complicated DVD with menus and submenus using DVD Studio Pro. So, let's say that I want to make a video of this ridiculously funny video about a kitty jumping to awesomeness, and he's like, look how cute I am, and I'm like, you know what? I want that on a DVD. Every time. It gets me every time. Okay, so I want to make this DVD. Assumedly, if you're doing this process, you probably already have something set up in Final Cut, but I wanted to take you from start to finish. So, just in case you don't know how to take something off YouTube and use it in your own videos, you would yell at the Mac for making your plugin inactive. So anyway, here is this video that is in lots of different formats that I can pick. So I am going to stick this video right in my Final Cut project. Boom. Yeah, I know. Whew. Okay. While this is rendering, I have my pretty Final Cut Pro project, and I think this is adorable, and I want to make it fancy, and that's why I need the DVD of this video so that I can, like, see the kitty jumping off the thing in pretty vignette. So while that's going and rendering, even though it's not useful, I'm going to go ahead and open up DVD Studio Pro. I'm going to ask you how you want to arrange the screens. And there are a couple different options. At first, you'll think that you want to go with basic because it's like, you know, basic and you don't have to learn stuff, but it turns out that that's worse because then you can't get to a lot of stuff that you need to make the DVD. So, we've opened up, and it's new, and it's shiny, and you can have 3 different configurations. I like to just stick with the advanced, even if I don't really know what all the thingies are going to do, because it's better to have the buttons available than to have to search in the help bar for a button that should be available that you may disappear because you wanted it to be basic. So let's just set this up. First thing, I'm going to get rid of this menu, because what I want to do right now is create a DVD that when you just start it, it's just going to start, and you don't need to mess around with menus and stuff, because most of the time when we're putting out videos of our own creation and things that need to be used for productions and whatnot, it just needs to go. Nobody needs a menu. So first, in the graphical area, you can even do in the outline area, you make sure that there's nothing in that menu box. There's no menu whatsoever because then it has nothing to pull from. And then you go into the disk settings. Oh, and if those aren't showing up, just make sure you've clicked this disk area. First play, which is pretty self-explanatory. Tracks, track 1, track. Then it will turn on, play your first track, and be done with it. How's Final Cut doing? Yay! Oh, look at my fancy vignette kitty! Yay! Okay, so next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to stick it on my desktop. Oh, another thing you want to think about, if you can, don't use the grid when you're working with compressor and working with Final Cut. If you have to have your stuff on the grid because it's awesome and you need to get it from place to place, that's perfectly fine, but if you can use desktop for rendering and compressing, it's much better. So we've got Kitty of Awesome, and sequence 1 is good. I'm happy. I'm going to make sure it's clicked and then send it to compressor. So sequence 1 is set. This is how it tells you what it is. It'll show you here when you've got some settings set up the difference between your setting and what it was when you started. So if you're making a DVD, there's this handy section called DVD. So you go to Apple, and it's called DVD, and it's super easy to understand. For something like this, I'm going to go with, nice fast encode. I'm not too worried about quality with my kitty jump. And as you can see, the video started off low enough that there isn't a whole lot of degradation. But if you've got something beautiful and fancy and you want to keep it that way, I would use the best quality options. I'm going to use the fastest encode options. Make sure you've got both of these selected, or you won't have any sound, or you won't have any video. And just drag and drop. I really like the way compressor is set up. It's really intuitive, except for this weird source thing. It always yells at me about the source. So just make sure you've got it set up so it's happy. So of the 3 sections that you can see need your help before you can submit the project, I have it all set. I have my formats, I have my location, target, destination, whatever you want to call it, and I have my title, name of the files. So we are ready to go. And this should take like 2 seconds. Oh, and it wants you to title your compressing project as it is, so that in case you're compressing 5 different things at a time, you can keep track of them. If you want to, you can name them. I almost always leave them untitled, but yeah. So this is a pretty quick 35-second video with a pretty quick encode, or not encode, sorry, compressing settings. So it should, like 13 seconds. Okay, see, this is very misleading. Successful! Okay. And it'll let you know when it's ready to go. I'm going to select them both. And I'm going to go into DVD Studio Pro and drop them in my Assets section. Make sure you do that. And if it's sitting there and having a yellow light instead of a green light, make sure in your file settings, in your preferences, you've gone and hit background encoding on your method. Otherwise, it'll automatically set to encode on build, which means that it won't actually encode and be ready to go until you want to build and burn your DVD, which means that it will take twice as long as it should. And you could be working on other things like perfecting your DVD while it's encoding. This did not take long to encode, but it could. Okay, so I am going to open up the track 1. You can also do it from here. They have a nice way for you to be able to see things in a couple different ways. I'm going to drag these over. Oh, okay. Make sure you get them both. Drag these over to my track, and then I can try it out, see how it's looking. Looks great. Look at how serious and contemplative that kitty looks. Okay, so you have the disc title, the first play, track 1, all ready to go. DVD standard. Make sure this thing says NTSC. I cannot properly explain to you what the difference is. Do some research. It's very complicated. But basically, from what I can understand, PAL works on some, NTSC works on all. This is a standard definition, so we're fine. You can go in here and make sure that you have it playable in all regions in case your VCR or DVD player randomly came from Africa and it won't play. So make sure everything's checked. Yeah. Okay, so now here's my favorite feature that is going to be awesome for you. It's this button called Simulate. So you open it up, and look, that's what happens when you stick in your DVD. Nice and simple, no menus, no nothing. And then when it's over, it'll just stop. There's not going to be any menu or anything. Menu, nothing. Why aren't you doing anything? Because I told you not to. Awesome. Okay. So we'll close that. We've had it set. You can check in the log to make sure everything's going well. It'll tell you everything you've done, and it'll have something in red if it's not working. Awesome. Okay, so we are ready to burn. You would just go over here and click burn. It's pretty simple. The other options are build format and build format. For build, basically you'd only do that if you're making a DVD that's sort of complicated with multiple menus and submenus. Then you would click build so that it would get ready to go, so then you could just click burn and it would just burn it. It wouldn't spend the time to build it. This one's ready to go. I'm not actually going to burn it because I don't really need 35 seconds of a cat jumping off of a balcony as DVD, but if I would, it's ready to go. So now I'm going to show you an example of something a little bit more complicated. Okay, so this is the DVD with special features of 8, the play that we were working on recently, just as an example of something a little bit more involved as opposed to just having the one track. This has multiple menus. Let me show you what it looks like. It even involves sound. There you go. And there are transitions involved and all sorts of things that were very easy to install. All it really needed was just playing around with the settings. There's like a slideshow and whatnot. And as you can see, they all work pretty smoothly. I built both of these slideshows within DVD Studio Pro instead of going and making a slideshow somewhere else and then importing it. All you really have to do is have your images in your assets folder section and then just drag and drop. I have 2 slideshows here because there was a image limit of 100 pictures per slideshow. Keep an eye out for that. So I split it into 2 slideshows. But you can play with the transition for each picture in the slideshow. You can change it individually if you really like, but I had 99 pictures, so I did not do that. I have a song in the background, and so the pictures are all set to go for the certain amount of time that 99 pictures could fit in this slide, so you can fit it to audio, and so it'll make it specific, a specific time per slide so that everything fits and you don't have to fiddle with stuff, which is pretty nice. I have 3 tracks in this for some special features, footage, and it's all accessible through the special features button on the first menu. Here in the actual play, I have it split into chapters. This is probably not something that you will ever need to do unless you're doing something that's over 2 hours like this was, or an hour and a half. So I have it split so that if you really wanted to, you could skip the intro and go straight to the first act here, or straight to the second act here. And really that's only incredibly useful if you're doing something with a scene selection menu, which would be pretty easy to make. And that way you could say scene selection and then have your chapters all set up and ready to go. I did not do that, but here you could flip through if you were watching this as a DVD. So yeah, so that was the bare bones DVD and the more complicated DVD. Once you get to the point where you want to make an advanced DVD like this, I would go through and read maybe the help menu and get some basics, but really it's as easy as it looks. Add menu, pick a template, fiddle with some settings, and it's pretty good to go. The way that DVD Studio Pro is built means that it's trying to help you make these complicated DVDs. The small one with no menu was the difficult thing. Making the big one with multiple menus is easy because they have all these handy buttons and all these wonderful tabs that tell you everything that needs to be there. Bare bones DVD, advanced DVD, and some vagueness on how to use keepvid and compressor. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.